This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder that Capital One Bank Guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also tell you about how Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bankguy. Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Stuff You Should Know is brought to you by Grainger. Grainger knows that if you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you can be confident that soon you'll have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Kablooey Clark. There's Charles W. Bam Bam Bryant and Jerry Radioactive Rowland.
Oh, boy.
And this is Stuff You Should Know.
You still got it.
After all these years.
You still got it.
Yep.
Hey, I think before we get going, we should talk very briefly about our audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
Because this week in real time, we are each recording our respective parts for the audiobook. And first of all, we just want to tell everyone there's going to be an audiobook version.
Yeah, spoiler.
Of Stuff You Should Know, and mostly incomplete guide to very interesting things.
Man, still. An incomplete compendium of mostly interesting things.
Yeah, so we're trying to push that out as a, get both is what I say. But if you're into audiobooks, we're doing one. But also, I just want to make sure people know what they're getting. And I put this on the Stuff You Should Know Army page. They're not getting 27 new podcast episodes.
No.
And they should know that because our podcast is unscripted conversation. Mm-hmm. An audiobook is us reading an audiobook. And rather than just weirdly trading lines, reading from a script, which I think that would dash a lot of people's image of of what we do.
Yeah.
We are each reading chapters, and I think they're going to mix in some stuff here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be great and fun, but it's not podcast episodes. We don't get to just fart around and make jokes. Like, we got to read our book.
No, oh man, we will be kept in line. If we tried to fart around and make jokes, it would not be good. There's this whole time is money ethos and yelling, sometimes crying. It's a real stressful situation, everybody.
How'd that go for you yesterday? Did you enjoy yourself?
I just told you there's a lot of yelling and crying. It was very stressful. Yeah, it was fun. It reminded me a lot of recording The End of the World.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
I wrote those and then I read them.
Right.
So it was very similar to that, except a lot less heavy.
Yeah, I was slightly nervous at first for some reason after talking for 12 years, probably just because you weren't there. But then it was like, it was fine.
Did Fleet, the director, calm you, make you feel better?
Yeah, I mean, I got in my groove. I felt pretty comfy by the end of it.
Yep. So I mean, it is fun. It's definitely a lot of extra work this week, but it's kind of cool. At the end, we're going to have a bona fide audiobook.
That's right, and a bona fide book that you can pre-order now. And we're also working on getting that pre-order gift available to the UK and Australia and other parts of the world because we have different publishers there. It's not like we were trying to exclude everyone.
No, but we are moving heaven and earth to get it done. And
right.
If you're in the US and Canada and you pre-order, if you haven't gotten your poster yet, worry not. You're going to get your pre-order gift eventually.
That's right.
Wow. So for the 15, 17 people who stuck around, prepare to learn about fallout shelters because that's ultimately what we're here to talk about today.
That's right. Actually, before that, I have to say one more thing.
Oh, God.
I posted that squirrel attack video on my Instagram, that we talked about on the episode.
Yeah.
Because people kept asking. And so I put it up. I'm at Chuck the Podcaster. If you want to see a squirrel go berserk and literally fly through the air and hit me in the leg, then you can see that. And it's been viewed like 15,000 times now.
One of these days, I hope you'll fess up to what you did to provoke that squirrel.
The whole thing's there. You see me exit my house, so.
We didn't know like what happened
like
a half hour before.
Right.
That had been ongoing for the last week.
Yeah,
or so.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
No backstory.
So now I think we're going to talk about fallout shelters because Chuck, your house has a basement, but it's exposed on one side to the outdoors. It's not an in-ground basement as far as I know. And hopefully I'm not divulging too much information about your house so weird fans will be able to find it and show up.
Well, actually, one side of it is exposed to the world, but the other side is, 10 feet of earth and red clay. Like it could have been a great fallout shelter had it not been for that one side.
Sure. But there are things you could do or could have done. I think we should use past tense here because the need for a fallout shelter as far as a nuclear war goes is vanishingly remote these days.
Yeah.
I like to think. I don't think we should get into any fear-mongering here.
No, I agree.
But there are a few things you could have done or could do to build a fallout shelter with that good side, I guess. And we're going to talk about that today. But mainly what we're talking about with fallout shelters is almost kind of like this examination of the world psyche during the Cold War to where as the nuclear arsenals of the Soviet Union and the United States started to build up in step with one another, and we were suddenly in a nuclear arms race where just 10 years before there were no such thing as nuclear weapons, people started to realize like, oh man, if one of these goes off near me, I'm in big trouble. And they started looking around to the government to say, hey, what should I do? And at first the government was like, figure it out yourself. And then eventually the government kind of got a little more involved. And before you know it, we had a national fallout shelter program. As feeble and terrible as it was, at least we had one. Yeah,
what's really funny is when you read up on this stuff and you learn that President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy that is, asked Congress for $100 million to build public fallout shelters.
Right.
That is such an adorable number now. That would build like 10 fallout shelters these days.
Yeah, that's like the amount of money that would take to get like a motorcade to the Capitol from the White House, basically,
Yeah, but it was a real threat back then. And I can't remember what episode. It may have been nuclear radiation. We did one on the disaster in Japan.
Yeah,
we've done a couple on this, but I know that I told the story of my father like having us sort of do 20% of a fallout shelter when I was 10 or 12 years old after the movie The Day After aired on television. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it was my brother and I digging out buckets of dirt and carrying them out in the woods and dumping them for probably 3 or 4 weekends, and then we stopped.
So you guys were 20% covered if something happened.
Yeah, I mean, we could have. Yeah, it was pretty gross.
So was it akin to this shelter that we were going to go over at the end? Was it like that?
Well, I mean, it eventually could have been, which is to say kind of a concrete room underground surrounded by earth.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying like the kind where it's like you dig a trench and put some wood poles and earth over it. Okay.
No, this is part of my basement. Like my dad had a workshop, and on the interior wall of the workshop, he knocked down the cinder block wall, and we just started digging.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm sure was super safe to the foundation of the house.
Sure, right. He's like, it's probably not load bearing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there was definitely a point in time, especially during the height of the Cold War, where it was like, we're really in danger here. The world was just kind of walking around, just twitching and shaking at the idea of this. And part of the problem was not just the idea that a bomb was going to go off and just blow cities apart, because apparently there was this one of the nuclear deterrent theories, the game theories that people kind of operated under, said, no, you know what? If we ever engage in a nuclear war, we're just going to be attacking military installations side to side. And so we don't really have to worry about that for people in New York or D.C. or, Atlanta, wherever, any of the major metropolitan cities. We don't have to worry about those cities getting leveled. But there's going to be a huge problem for the people living there because there's such a thing as radioactive fallout. It's not just the bomb that gets you, it's the fallout afterward.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a nuclear bomb, a nuclear warhead, it depends on what kind. Back then it was different than it is now. But let's say a 1 megaton H-bomb back in the day would completely wipe out everything within about 2 miles from where it hit.
Yeah, and I know I said we weren't going to fearmonger, Chuck, but I found out that there is a bomb in the U.S. arsenal called the B-83, which is 1.2 megatons, and it can be carried around very easily by the B-2 bomber. Okay. So those exist.
So 2 miles, everything is gone, and this is from the blast. And a person, if you're like 5 miles away from that bomb site, you're going to get hit with third-degree burns. Yeah, just from that blast.
Yeah, you're going to be hating life. So the blast is going to be bad enough. And again, just for people miles away, could be burned to death, incinerated, vaporized, just all sorts of terrible stuff. But if you're living outside of that blast zone, you got problems in the radioactivity that's going to be generated by it. Because when those bombs explode, they release a lot of radioactive particles of different varieties. And those things go up in the air, and they get kind of carried around and stirred up in the atmosphere, but a lot of them are heavy enough that they come back down in basically around the area, in a larger area around the bomb's epicenter.
Yeah, and we should probably just go over some of these different types of radiation. Some of it you might recognize from various Incredible Hulk comic books.
Right.
But you've got your alpha particles, your beta particles. You've got gamma rays. You've got neutrons.
The gamma rays is what got Hulk, right?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Because gamma rays are green and Hulk was green.
That's right.
I think that's it.
And you had those sweet, sweet purple pants that somehow still fit.
For sure.
So the alpha and beta particles, they are not great, but they are easily stopped is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like everything I tried to read about this was like they would go to great lengths to be like, well, this one isn't like that much of a problem. This one's way worse. And then finally they'd throw up their hands and be like, actually, all of this is just going to be one big giant cluster.
Right.
Because depending on the different type of radioactive particle, there's different situations where they're way worse than the other one. Like a gamma ray is really bad because it can go clear through several inches of lead right into you on the other side of the lead, through your body, and then everything it comes in contact with, say all of your cells and tissues and bones and all that stuff, it really screws them up genetically, and you can develop cancer and radiation sickness and all that. That's pretty bad. But then you've got alpha particles where they can be stopped by a piece of paper. They can't even make it through your skin, but they could get all over like crops in the water, and we drink them and eat them, and then they cause all sorts of problems inside of you too. So there's really no good radioactive particle as far as a fallout from a nuclear bomb is concerned.
Yeah, not at all. So don't, if you read up on this stuff and it said, a piece of paper or a little bit of plastic can stop beta particles and alpha particles, just think about the air you're breathing, the water you're drinking, the maize you're growing.
Sure. If you want to get traditional.
It's all very dangerous.
Yeah, don't just be like, I'll just make a paper suit out of newspapers and maybe a little paper tri-cornered hat out of newspapers. I'll be fine.
But like you said, when this bomb hits, that mushroom cloud goes up. Everything's all mixed together. And as the wind blows, these little I think John Fuller, our old pal, wrote this one a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
For How Stuff Works. But
John Fuller.
He said there are lots of little they act like little tiny missiles, basically, that are just going off all over the place.
Yeah. That was the neutrons, right?
I think the neutrons specific, he called the missiles, but they kind of all are.
Yeah, they are. They're super high energy. And gamma rays, like I said, they can pass right through you. Neutrons are a problem in the relative immediate blast area because they're very heavy, so they don't go nearly as far as, say, like gamma rays or X-rays or alpha particles or beta particles, but they all do damage in their own unique, special snowflake way.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, this stuff is being carried around by the wind, but the actual particles that you're seeing is actually Earth that is now enriched with this stuff that is poofed up from that crater where Earth used to be, I guess.
Right. And so knowing all this, like this was like why people started to be like, oh, okay, maybe we should start building fallout shelters to live in or inhabit for, the immediate period after this nuclear attack, to give us a chance to survive and hopefully, make it a few weeks and then things will have died down. Everybody will have forgotten about the whole nuclear holocaust and we can come back out and restart civilization. That was really honestly, if you get down to it, the thinking behind fallout shelters in the United States in the 60s and late 50s.
All right, should we take a break there, then talk about these things?
I think so.
Some more?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back, everyone. Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well designed, and they can be well designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality, and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
So Chuck, I think since we've got one act under our belt, we need to start the second act by telling everybody they can pre-order our book. Hey, I took some vitamins, I've been taking vitamins as much as I can.
Oh, yeah?
And I've got this multivitamin, like the worst a vitamin can taste. I've got that horrible vitamin taste just stuck in the back of my throat because it got stuck there for a half of a millisecond before it washed down. And it's just left this terrible taste of vitamin coating back there. And it's driving me batty.
How is your health with the vitamins? Can you tell a difference?
No, none.
How's your pee? How's your urine?
It's bright yellow, which makes me just feel like such a chump, especially after our vitamin supplement episode.
Oh, right. Didn't we say we pee most of it out?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
There's good ones for sure, and I like to think I'm taking good ones, but I just know that there's no telling right now.
You're like, I'm using injectables now.
Pretty much snortable vitamins.
So fallout shelters, it's funny here, and I'm glad John put it this way because it really makes a lot of sense. If you think about an SPF for sunscreen. It's the same exact way with a fallout shelter. You have a PF, a protection factor, and that is just very simply a representative of being in a fallout shelter or just being out in the open.
Right.
And FEMA put out a pamphlet called Standards for Fallout Shelters, and they said you need a PF of 40.
At least.
Yeah, if you want to, and that puts you down to about 2.5% of the radiation, which I heard that number and I thought that was too much.
Yeah, no, I think what you're really shooting for is something like 300, that kind of thing. And they're saying like a minimum of 40, or else you might as well just go lay out in the radioactivity
Right.
for all the protection you're going to get. Another way to look at that PF number is that it's the denominator and the fraction of the radioactive exposure that you get compared to being outside of the shelter. So a PF of 40 would mean that you get 1/40th. I'm more of a fraction guy than a decimal dude.
Oh, yeah?
How about you? You like decimals or fractions more?
I don't like either one, but I think for our next live show in 2022, you should wear a shirt that says fraction guy, and I'll have one that says decimal dude.
Okay.
And that'll just be our new tour outfit.
Fair enough.
And you can have yours printed on a button-down shirt, of course.
Okay. Because nothing looks better than good silk screening on a button-down Oxford. Maybe by the time we go on tour again, this horrible vitamin taste will be out of my mouth.
Maybe so. So with fallout shelters, there's a couple of kinds, if you're going back to the 1960s, that people were talking about. And that is the public one and then the private one that you just build at your house like we kind of didn't do. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole. And this is be right up your alley. You probably did this.
Rabbit hole's pretty safe, I bet.
Yeah, depends on how deep, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you start Googling 60s fallout shelters.
Oh, and I did.
Oh, boy. It's just a treasure trove of articles and pictures. I saw one that these people in Woodland Hills, a suburb of L.A., bought, or part of greater Los Angeles, bought a house not too long ago, a few years ago, and they found did you see this one?
No, I saw some in Milwaukee.
I saw that Milwaukee article too. That was great. But they found a 15-foot down under the earth fallout shelter.
Wow.
That was fully stocked. Like it was like a time capsule from 1961.
And Brendan Fraser and Christopher Walken were living in it. I can't remember who the mom was. Do you remember?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
It was a cute movie.
Yeah. Is that Encino Man?
No.
Oh.
This was Blast from the Past.
Oh, okay.
Encino Man was great, too, because the weasel's in it.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, Pauly Shore.
Yeah, I know who that is. I just didn't.
Pauly Shore, Sean Astin, and Brendan Fraser.
Sean Astin.
Whatever. That guy's rich enough. He doesn't care what I say.
So I was looking at all these 1961 period products and just like getting tingly feelings in my body because they were perfectly preserved for the most part, like faded and stuff. But there was a can, like a coffee can, but it said multi-purpose food, Meals for Millions. And so I was like, I got to find out what this is. And it turns out that Meals for Millions was a nonprofit from way back then that is now what's it called
International.
Now it's transformed into another name these days. I think Freedom from Hunger is the new name.
Okay.
But these two guys, Clifford Clinton and Dr. Henry Borsuk, took on this task of Borsuk was a biochemist at Caltech, and they took on this project of trying to find the best food to feed, like the cheapest, absolute most bare bones thing you could put in a package to feed the hungry.
Right.
And that's what they came up with was this stuff in a can. And it is 68% defatted soy grits plus dehydrated potatoes, cabbage, tomatoes, onions, leeks, parsley, and spices fortified with vitamins and minerals. And
That's all right.
Comes in a can and you boil it up and eat it. And it was something like 2 cents per serving.
Wow.
And it was a really ingenious idea, but this became, I think, kind of a popular thing for fallout shelters because you could just stock cans and cans of this, like the most bare bones, caloric, sort of healthy thing you could get.
Meals for Millions. That's pretty great. I did not expect it to actually be as healthy as what you just listed off.
Yeah, I would love to taste some of it.
Well,
multi-purpose
just travel
food.
to Woodland Hills. I know, but just call it food. What do you mean multi-purpose food? Is it like a pomade as well, or
maybe
something?
a sealant?
A food that I ran across that was pretty popular, especially among government-funded fallout shelters, was this kind of like wheat cracker that was made from bulgur wheat. And apparently they were inspired by some crackers that were found in Egyptian tombs that were still edible after a couple thousand years. So they're like, oh, that'd be perfect for fallout shelters. So they kind of recreated those.
Tasteless, edible?
Yeah, multi-purpose apparently. You could shave with them too.
You might could. That Milwaukee article was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I think that it said that at the time there were like 3,000 plus personal shelters in the city of Milwaukee alone.
Yeah, the thing is like that's probably a pretty good number. The thing is there's no official numbers for the fallout shelters that were built around the Cold War, because there were a lot of public or private ones, but there's also public ones too. So let's keep talking about the private ones first, because if we're going to follow the historical timeline, which I'm in favor of, around, I think, the late 1950s, I think it was 1957, in the Eisenhower administration, there was a report that's now called the Gaither Report, and it basically said, here's everything we figured out about a nuclear war. The cities are toast. People are going to die en masse. We have no place to put them for them to shelter in, and everybody's in a lot of trouble if there is a nuclear war. So really, the best thing we need to focus on is to prevent a nuclear war from happening. Well, that leaked out, and people said, well, what are we going to do? And this is when the government was like, I don't know, why don't you build some shelters and leave us alone? And so people started doing that, and it became like a huge craze. And so shelters in places like that home in Woodland Hills or that one in Milwaukee that are still around today in some cases, that became like a big deal, like adding like a really nice swimming pool or adding like a rec room or something like that. People turned to fallout shelters, and they started building them like crazy.
Yeah, and from that Milwaukee, I think it was In Milwaukee was the name of the website. But from what they said was they were being marketed as sort of multi-purpose rec rooms that in case the S goes down, it's conveniently lined with concrete.
Right.
And you could just sort of easily convert it. And I guess you would have some stuff stashed there in either a closet or in bins or something. And when you're not using it, when there's no nuclear disaster, you're just using it as sort of a playroom or something.
Yeah, there was some decorators show in Chicago in the late 50s, I think, and they build this thing as the family room of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where it was exactly what you described. It was like a normal functioning family room, but it just happened to be in a basement in like foot-thick concrete encased under the dirt.
Yeah, I remember seeing when I was a kid, my brother and I did lots of sort of, I guess it wasn't urban exploring, but
trespassing?
Suburban exploring.
Sure, okay.
And I remember a couple of distinct times that we saw vent pipes just coming out of the earth in the forest. And we never saw any entryway or anything like that. But that had to be some sort of fallout shelter, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they were near homes, but not like in the yard. We'd come across a couple of them in our various expeditions. Okay. Like, just clearly a vent pipe just coming out of the woodland forest floor.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it was. I hope.
Yeah, well, we didn't dig around.
If not, have you ever seen that Hugh Jackman movie where like his wife is kidnapped?
Prisoners?
Yeah, man, that was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, really good.
Yeah, great movie.
So
that's what's his face is doing the new Dune movie, Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why it was so good.
Yeah, he's a master.
I'm sorry, Chuck. I can't not correct you. His name is Denis Villeneuve. I'm sorry.
Okay, I mispronounced it.
So I was kidding. Anyway, there was the private fallout shelter trend that just blew up and became a thing. And then in 1961, President Kennedy sent a letter out. Surely it went out to more than just this, but if you were a Life magazine subscriber, which was pretty substantial back in 1961, in the September 15th edition, you got a letter from President Kennedy basically saying like, hey, this whole possibility of nuclear war thing, well, we've decided we're going to do something about it, we the government, and we're going to start what's called the National Fallout Shelter Survey. And with this survey, basically what we're going to do is send out government officials, and they're going to look at buildings all around the country and identify sites that have the potential of serving as a fallout shelter. And everyone says, well, that's great. So like a fallout shelter. So if like a nuclear bomb goes off over our city, we're going to be safe. It's like, no, don't be ridiculous. That would cost a lot of money. No, this is going to protect you if from radioactive fallout. You'll have to survive the blast, but this will hopefully protect you from the fallout afterward.
Yeah, and we kind of laugh about that, but I mean, there's no way they could have built enough adequate shelters to protect all Americans from the blast. No,
I mean, there was a lot of Americans. Apparently, they did look at it at first, and
they could have pretended to.
$200 billion in 1961 dollars.
That's another cute number, actually.
They were like, oh, no, we can't do that. We don't have that kind of money. So it was like you said, I think $190 million is what they ended up spending on it, which to me seems like a lot of money to send out some people to look at buildings and decide what was a fallout shelter and what wasn't.
Yeah, what's really funny is when you look at what people did around the world, what countries did around the world, and how it so jibes with how those countries are still today. Mm-hmm. So the U.S. did what we did. The Soviets said that they built a big, extensive system, and they had an advanced cooling system and all these filters protecting against everything, and provisions, food and water forever. And this is the press release they put out. Basically, who knows what really happened? Yeah,
because I found that on russiasogreat.com or whatever. It was like an urban exploration of like an abandoned shelter, but was this just like the biggest one? How many were like that?
Right.
But supposedly the Soviets boasted of a system that could protect most of their citizens from the blast.
All right, so that makes sense. Sweden built 65,000, which covered about 70% of the population.
TS for the other 30%.
Switzerland built enough shelters for everybody.
Okay.
God bless them. The UK said, you know what, we're going to build enough for our military, our government, and the royal family.
Yeah, chin up, everyone else.
And then Australia said, we'll take a pass. We're not going to build any because no one's going to mess with us down here.
Yeah, they're like, everybody's read On the Beach. Everyone knows we're fine if the rest of the world's gone up in flames.
I think they're probably right. I mean, they were, and especially back then, enough off the map or off the path of the threat that they didn't even need to sweat it.
Yeah. They're like, hey, what's all the ruckus up there?
Yeah.
So, so the U.S. said, okay, we've got to do something. Let's at least build these fallout shelters that are going to protect people from radioactivity. And so they started building these. I shouldn't say building. They started going onto private property or public buildings and saying, hey, you got a really nice basement here.
Yeah.
Can you take down the human skins, clean it up a little bit? We're going to put some bulgur wheat biscuits in here. We're going to put in some multi-purpose food. Don't ask. And we're going to turn this place into a fallout shelter. And on their way out, they would slap a sign, a very iconic sign, which was a black circle with 3 inverted triangles all pointing toward the center that designated a fallout shelter. And they did this in yellow in the event of a blackout during a nuclear war or something so that you could easily see it.
Yeah, pretty cool. The company 3M made these for about a penny each. And they made about 400,000 of these signs. Mm-hmm. And they would stock these things with, like medical first aid kits, some water drums.
Yeah.
Those crackers that you talked about, that if you add water could probably double up as like cement patch.
Yeah, I guess. But I think people would wrestle you to the ground if you tried to use the water for anything but drinking after, in the event of this.
Sure. I mean, that's one thing we didn't mention. If you go to build your own fallout shelter, you should have some food, but water obviously is far more important. We've talked about that a lot, about how long the human body can go without food and water. Yep. Got to have a lot of water. I think I would stock it up with some of that Mike's Mighty Good ramen.
Sure. Of course.
Which, by the way, we'd be remiss if we didn't point out that they actually sent us a coupon code for Stuff You Should Know listeners.
Oh, yeah.
This is not an ad, but we talk about that ramen so much. They said, you know what? Tell everyone Stuff You Should Know 20. We'll get them 20% off ramen if they want to order some.
Very nice. Do you write the number 20 or write out TWENTY?
The number 20 after Stuff You Should Know.
So 20.
Yeah, and you could stock up your own fallout shelter. You can eat that stuff for lunch. Doesn't take up a lot of room. Good calories.
It's multi-purpose food.
You got to use some water for it, though.
Right. But I mean, hey.
Or you could collectively spit in it, I guess, and heat that up.
That's grody. You're going to get that water anyway, though, because you're going to drink the juice. That's
true. So back to the public shelters. They have these pretty well stocked. They said there was an actual booklet in there that said if you want a toilet, cut a seat out of a chair and put a bucket under it, and there's your toilet.
And so when that pamphlet came out in particular, the American Citizenry said, for real, this is what our tax dollars are doing. This is what we're getting from our government. Cut a hole in the seat of a chair and put a bucket under there. That's your advice for the nuclear war that you're half responsible for having us live under the threat of, right?
Yeah. They said, we're not socialists. You take care of yourself.
Yeah. So the thing is people would right. People would read newspapers, or people would watch the news or whatever, and they would be getting one channel of information that was saying here's what this, what a 1 megaton bomb could possibly do to you, or if this blew up over New York City, this is what would happen. And people would say, well, what's the point of having these fallout shelters? Because if a bomb goes off over New York City, all of those fallout shelters are going to be totally obliterated. There's no point for them. And the government, in doing something like trying to at least lift some finger and make people feel less anxious, actually had the opposite effect, because it drew a lot of attention and focus to the need for fallout shelters, while at the same time reinforcing the idea that these fallout shelters weren't going to be worth anything for anybody unless maybe you lived in Topeka or somewhere where there wasn't what's known as a key target, so that you might actually survive in a fallout shelter that was well stocked and had few enough people. It could work, but for most Americans, especially ones in major cities, you're going to be in bad shape. And the fallout shelter program really kind of pointed that out.
All right, should we take a break?
I think so.
All right, we'll take our last break, and we'll be back right after this. Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
So before we broke, you said something about unless you live in Topeka, doesn't Kansas have silos or no? Military?
Yeah, as I was saying it, I was like, shh. Yeah, I'm glad you said something. At least it'll save us the emails.
Okay, because that, we did mention, but, we talked about game theory earlier about how the reasoning was, no, you don't need to worry if you're in a big city because there aren't military bases there. Right. But, that it sort of goes the way of that war goes once anything goes wrong. So if one bomb from the opposition, from the enemy, goes to somewhere it isn't supposed to go, then all bets are off, basically. Yeah. And then it's just bomb away.
I want to give a shout out to Robert Clara from History.com, who wrote Nuclear Fallout Shelters Were Never Going to Work, who wrote a pretty great article about how this whole program was kind of doomed from the start.
It kind of says it all.
Ill-conceived, But not only was it ill-conceived, they were also like poorly stocked. Some of these things that were designated fallout shelters never got their supplies. Water drums were leaking. And then others worked really well, so well, in fact, that there's one they found at the Oyster Adams Bilingual School in D.C., which is a school still functioning today, part of D.C. Public Schools. But there is a fallout shelter that's like a time capsule, basically, that has all of the original provisions in it, just frozen in time still.
Wow. Yeah,
it's really
like that
neat.
house in California.
Yeah, basically. Except this was one of the designated public fallout shelters, but below a school.
Yeah, I think, didn't they try to build them to house at least 50 people? Mm-hmm. And I think they recommended for the personal ones that they be at least 6.5 feet tall. Yeah. And that was one of the things that sort of would have been the toughest, I think, about fallout shelters. There's so many of them had very low ceilings. Right. Obviously, there's no windows. I mean, bunker life is tough going. And they recommended 2 weeks, which is nuts to me. Like, there's no way I'm poking my head out after 2 weeks just to see if it's how things are going up there. Right.
And I mean, like, there was some logic and reasoning to that 2 weeks, and that there's that you would have exceeded the half-life of a lot of the radionuclides that are
not
that
enough
are
for me.
created. But yeah, there's plenty that would still be around. Yes, it was never going to work, like Robert Clara put it.
No, and I think that was sort of the idea of what you were talking about with the public being so disheartened and feeling helpless about our civil defense was like, this is the general public, and they didn't think it seemed like a good plan.
But it makes me wonder, though, is that a good thing? Like, it sucks to have that kind of mental anxiety that we all collectively had during the Cold War, especially at the height of this stuff, like in the 60s. Yeah. But I think it might have actually been good, because then the public was aware of just how dangerous things were and would prevent a kind of cavalier attitude toward nuclear war, because they knew what was at stake, and what was at stake were their very lives.
Maybe. I mean, and maybe that's a bottom-up sort of, like a groundswell of public thought ekes its way up into government. And, I mean, I guess we'll never know how close we ever got. I mean, I don't think we've ever done one on the the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Have we not?
I don't think specifically, but we've been on the brink in a way that history has recognized. But I'm curious how close it's been in times that we never even knew about.
There's one guy who's celebrated every year. I can't remember what the day is, but it's basically like Save the World Day, where this one Soviet, I guess a missile commander, basically had a few minutes, was being told by his computers and all of his underlings that the U.S. had launched a massive strike, and that, it was up to him to call and order this counterstrike, or call the people who would order the counterstrike. And he sweated it out. He said that he just didn't believe that the Americans would have launched an unprovoked all-out nuclear strike like he was being shown, and he stayed his hand, and literally saved the world from a nuclear war, like single-handedly. And the scary thing is, Chuck, is that has happened more than once.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's funny that, like, we're basically the last generation that grew up with any knowledge of the threat of nuclear war like this.
Yeah.
Like, we sort of experienced the tail end of the Cold War.
Perfect generation.
Yeah, but it's hard to and the Friendly Fire podcast, which is one of my favorites, the war movie podcast that our buddies Ben Harrison and Adam Pranica and John Roderick do. They're younger. Roderick's a few years older than me,
way old,
so way older than you. But John kind of drives this point home a lot about, like, it's really hard to put into words what that does to a set of generations when we're all sort of living under this, very real threat that we could all die the worst possible death. And, not like, oh, you kids have got it made or anything like that, but it's a different sort of mindset,
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely affects you from every stage of your life, I mean,
it went away by the time we were in college, but, I remember my early years, obviously we were digging a fallout shelter. It was a big threat, and movies and TV reinforce that every day.
Yep. So if you wanted to build a fallout shelter, we have to say there was a time in addition to designating fallout shelters. By the way, if you find one of those old fallout shelter signs, hang on to it. You can pretty much take it, and unless there's a close watching groundskeeper Willie type who takes care of that building, nobody's probably going to notice it's gone.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government has no idea how many are out there because they never kept track of the fallout shelters. There was no registry or anything.
Yeah, I mean, they started shutting these down in the early 70s officially.
Yeah.
Started giving away the food, sent some of it to organizations in Africa and Bangladesh. And then those signs started, I think, in the mid-70s, started pulling those signs out. And I think finally, just 3 years ago in 2017, they said that they got the last of the signs out of New York City.
Right.
And I don't think we mentioned, it's hysterical that they built these fallout shelters in Manhattan and Brooklyn.
Right.
As if that would, that would lead to good things.
Be spared.
Yeah.
Right,
or
exactly.
be spared.
Right. So if you did want to make a fallout shelter, there was a pamphlet put out by Oak Ridge National Laboratory where they basically hired
Oak Ridge boys?
Yeah, they had a sideline in studying nuclear disaster survival. Like you couldn't tell with their beards,
Right.
But this pamphlet basically was the result of Oak Ridge hiring a bunch of families, regular old American families, and saying, a nuclear war is happening right now. Go build a fallout shelter. Here's your instructions. And then seeing how easy it could be done and then adjusting the instructions and so on and so forth until they finally got to this pamphlet. And the pamphlet basically came up with this really good fallout shelter where you just basically dug a trench in the ground that was several feet deep, covered it with wood poles, covered the wood poles with something like cloth, the old bed sheet, something like that, put dirt on it, put shower curtains, something waterproof, and then put more dirt on that. And they actually figured out that this particular fallout shelter had like a protection factor of like 300.
Really?
Yeah. And it would also survive a blast that most houses would not survive.
Wow.
Because you're just basically hunkered down in the earth, and it would work for you if you wanted to. And they said that it can be done. They used the example that 2 non-athletic college-age girls did it in 36 hours. That was how they were selling it.
We got a couple of girl couch potatoes.
Right. Look at them.
Wow.
Yep.
I would when I was reading about that, I figured you'd get maybe a 20 out of that.
A 20? What do you mean?
For PF.
No, a 1/300th.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. Thank you, Oak Ridge boys.
Giddy up, papa.
And since Chuck said that, everybody, it's time for listener mail.
All right, I'm going to call this a series of apologies to Australia.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know what this is about.
So before we get into the email, I do think we should address this, that we've had some ads running in Australia only that have been no good. And these aren't ads that we knew about. These aren't ads that we read. We have a separate company in Australia that's doing that for us, and everything is under review right now because we don't want these ads out there. So
yeah, it's a new relationship, and we're kind of figuring each other out.
That's right. But we do want to say that none of these ads were our decision. If you're out there and your interest is piqued and you're like, oh my gosh, what are they talking about? I'll never know. They were ads for like mining companies and stuff like that, among other things.
Not super SYSK type stuff.
No, that's right. And we wanted to address it head on. But also we wanted to address our own foibles in the billabongs terminology that we were talking about in the wetlands episode.
Just shameful, man.
It is. And this is something we should know, even though we are not Australians. But we use the term Aborigines very sort of willy-nilly. And that is this is an email from Tanita. She said, in the episode on wetlands, you used a number of terms talking about billabongs that were not correct terminology. The term Aborigines is considered outdated and offensive as it groups all indigenous groups into one term and has connotations of colonial Australia. Some of the current terms and correct terms for traditional owners of Australia include Aboriginal people, Indigenous, First Nations people, and this is something that, we should have known. So,
yeah. Plus, I mean, it applies to more than just the native people of Australia too. So of course.
Yeah, and we got a bunch of emails from people that said if you really want to do right by these people, you need to research the exact people that you're talking about, like the Palawa people from Tasmania, where she's from, or the Aniwan people from the area around Armidale, where she lives now. And we didn't do that, and she said there were 250 different languages in Australia before invasion. Only 120 are now spoken. Billabong, in fact, comes from the Wiradjuri language from central New South Wales and is now a common Australian English term. And that is from Tanita and many others.
Thank you so much for taking it easy on us, Tanita. That was very nice. Super Australian of you as well. Just laid back and nice and not at all like chest pokey. So we appreciate that.
That's right. And, if you're in the United States and you're not quite sure what even this means, it'd basically be like just saying Africa as a lump all term for like any tribe in Africa and the culture and the language that is very specific to that region.
Right.
And we're not hip to that.
No. So thanks again. Who was that? Tanita?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, Tanita. Thanks again, Australia, for taking such good care of us over there. We appreciate you guys. And thanks to everybody who listens to Stuff You Should Know. And if you want to get in touch with us for any reason, no matter where you live in the world, no matter what language you speak, you can send us an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids?
Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever.
We can play games
with astronauts,
wild animals,
and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
You could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days guaranteed or your money back. Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute. So Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, their chef-inspired flavors. It's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.